Hi, and welcome to the Penguins Shootout on Herald-Standard.com. I'm your host, Rob Burchianti, and with me is Herald-Standard.com sports writer Derek Day. And we've got a lot to talk about since our last show. The Penguins have been on a couple of streaks, a bad streak where they've lost 4 more, which gave them 6 straight losses, which really sent them reeling. But then they came back and did win 2 more since then, so they've been 2-4 since our last show, and they are on a 2-game winning streak right now. And in the standings, they actually dropped out of a playoff spot for a while there, but they bounced back and with the 2 straight wins, and they're now in the 8th spot. If this playoff started on Monday, they would be in the 8th seed right now. They are in 4th place in the Atlantic Division, and I think they would be the 8th seed. Anyhow, real quickly, Derek, what did you think of that? 6 straight games was starting to get desperate times there, wasn't it?
Yeah, it seemed they would come out strong out of the gate, have a dominate play, keep it in the opponent's end for a full 20 minutes. It seemed like in the first period, and then one little breakdown would of course, and then the other team would score. New Jersey did it, and Washington did it last week as well. And it just seemed like it just went downhill from there. Although the Penguins did play, they lost in Washington 1-0, but that was probably the best. If you could have a bad loss, that was the best one of the bunch, because other than that one little lapse, they gave up the goal. They played a really solid game. It was a tooth and nail defensive struggle down there in Washington.
And one thing about those games is the Penguins were this is an interesting stat here too I dug up, is shots per game. The Penguins are 2nd in the league, 34.2 per game. They're only behind San Jose. So they're peppering the goalies. And shots against per game, they're 2nd in the league in that too. They've only allowed 26.4. Only St. Louis has allowed slightly less. So they're out shooting their opponents by a ton. It just they just can't find the net.
It just seems the shots they do give up are those quality scoring chances, whether it be a breakaway or on the power play or whatever. But it just seems that they're giving up the worst possible shots, and they just happen to be the ones that go in. And unfortunately, Fleury and at times Johnson have been the ones that pay the price for it in terms of their stat sheet.
And boy, how many posts have they hit lately? I mean, it's just amazing.
The Florida game, I watched that, the 4-1 win. First period it was 0-0, but if they were playing counting goal posts and crossbars, the Penguins would have been up 4-0. I think they were. Kunitz hit a crossbar, Malkin hit a post, and James Neal hit 2 posts.
Yeah, they were up. They outshot them 18-6 that game and hit 3 or 4 posts. And they had nothing to show for it. And just real quick leading up to that game, they had lost 3-1 to the Rangers, 1 goal, 3-1 to the Devils, another division rival, Atlantic Division. Another 1-goal game where they got pummeled by Ottawa 5-1. Then they had that game, the 1-0 loss to the Capitals. They were averaging 1-goal gamer for a while. Finally, in the second period against Florida, Scott Clemmensen, the goalie for Florida, gives the Penguins a break. He goes in back of the net, and he grabbed the puck, and then Matt Cook surprised him. And he just coughed it up. He didn't see Cook there. Cook grabbed it, threw it out front to, I forget, it was Steve Sullivan, who had basically an open net. Bang, he shot it in, gave him a 1-0 lead. And finally, that seemed like to turn the momentum their way. After all those shots, they get a break. They take the lead. It was early in the second period. Late in the period, Malkin had a shot to make it 2-0, and his shot was stopped by Clemmensen. But he goes back, gets a rebound, and backhands it off of Clemmensen to make it 2-0. So they had a couple freaky type of goals there that got them going, and then they ended up winning that game 3-1.
That's what it can take sometimes to get you going. Just one of those fluky type goals. Doesn't have to be pretty. Just they all count the same on the scoreboard, but sometimes those little garbage type goals can get you out of a funk. Which most certainly the Penguins were in one during that 6-game skid.
Yeah, but it was, I guess the 3-1 was actually 4-1 because Neal scored to put the game away. It was 3-0, and I think they made it 3-1, and Neal made it 4-1. And then it's just strange that you think, well, maybe this will carry over, and it did. They played Tampa Bay, and Neal scores a power play goal in the first period. Richard Park scores a goal. Neal scores another power play goal early in the third period, so it's 3-0 early in the third against the Lightning. And you're thinking, boy, that last game got them going, they're rolling. And then bang, 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 it's 3-3, just like that. Ryan Malone had one of the goals, I know. And with 13-10 left in the game, you're tied 3-3. And you're thinking, here we go. We thought they were out of the funk, but then who stepped up? Do you remember? Some guy named
Evgeny 71, I think was his number. Yeah, he had a natural hat trick and almost could have had a fourth goal if they had been called. If he had a call go his way with the open net at the end of the game. I don't know why Boucher, the Lightning coach, had the goalie pulled, but they were down at that point. 6-3, and he pulled the goalie, and Malkin was coming to the left wing boards. Lightning player comes in and chops at him, got an overhand chop. It should have been a slash, knocked Malkin's stick out of his hand, and Malkin missed an opportunity for the rare 4-goal game.
Yeah, natural hat trick in the third period.
5-point night for him.
Yeah, 2 assists. That's right, but. That was, that would have been a disastrous loss, I think, especially after they just righted the ship, snapped the losing streak at a 3-0 lead. We can't say how much that meant.
Yeah, kind of an odd streak there. It seems Dan Bylsma couldn't pass his predecessor, Michel Therrien, on the all-time wins list.
That's right, yeah. The 2 guys in that game against Tampa Bay, Neil had 2 power play goals, and he now leads the league, and he's second in the league in goals. And he's leads the league in power play goals. I think
12.
Was it 12? Yeah, half
and
his
shots,
goals are
187 shots.
Neil and Malkin are 1-2 in the league in shots. So they're obviously peppering, as we pointed out before. And Malkin is second in the league in points with 51 in only 37 games, and Henrik Sedin has 52 in 46 games. So Malkin's obviously on pace to catch him. And Malkin's 8th in goals with 21, 6th in assists with 30, 2nd in game-winning goals with 6. So, not surprisingly, Malkin did make the All-Star team. But kind of surprising, very surprising to me.
Snub.
Yeah. James Neal, even though with 40 points, second in the league in goals, and then has 12 power plays, as we were saying, and it was carrying the team for a long time there, is not on the All-Star team. What do you make of that? What are they thinking? How can he not be... how many forwards did they pick?
36 out of
36 forwards, and a guy with the second most goals in the league can't make the All-Star team. What do you make of that?
I think a lot of it has to do with names. A lot of them maybe on the list. There are some you would think, you'd look down the list and see, say, Jason Pominville. What has he done? He's not, you don't think of him as a All-Star game, but you look at his numbers, they're good numbers. He's 12th in the league in points, 44. 29 assists, 15 goals in 45 games, 5 power play goals. It sounds like pretty solid numbers.
Yep.
You go to Joffrey Lupul of the Maple Leafs, 44 games. He has 47 points, 9th in the league, including 19 goals, 28 helpers, and he's a +4. So you think, so maybe just a lot of people had better years, but it's hard to think. Then you look at one of the poster boys of the NHL these days, so supposedly Alexander Ovechkin. 18 goals and 17 assists for 35 points. 35 points, 43rd in the league, and he's a -7. Has 7 power play goals. So you think he's having another bad year, the second season in a row. Seems like he's riding on his reputation from a couple years past, where he just was dominating, filling the net, but now not so much, and yet he's still an All-Star. But James Neal, like I said, 24 goals, second in the league, 40 points, which is 22nd. Overall in scoring, and he's not on the All-Star team, so it's baffling, and the list goes on there. I would throw in why not Marc-Andre Fleury?
Right, 4th in the league in wins at 21, and he's had to come up big plenty of times for that team, and he faces a lot of quality scoring. Even though the Penguins are very low in shots on goal, he faces a lot of quality shots, I think.
Yeah, and of course, if you look, anytime you pick an All-Star team, you say, well, if so-and-so deserves one, who are you going to kick out? Well, I picked one.
Okay.
Montreal, Carey Price, he was selected to the All-Star team. 913 save percentage, 2.44 goals against. And you look at Fleury's numbers, 912 save percentage, is slightly lower. Goals against, 2.27. So Fleury's actually allowing less goals per game. But like I said, the big number, Fleury, 21, 12, and 2, which means he's good. He's doing good as far as helping the team win. And only has 2 losses in the shootout, so he's a clutch goaltender when you need that extra point.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Carey Price, 15, 16, and 8. He's not even 500.
Yeah.
And he's lost 6 more games in the shootout. So that doesn't really, to me, Fleury's definitely more of a clutch goaltender. So why would you snub Fleury in this case as well? I think he's a lot more deserving of it, and probably one of the more underappreciated goalies in the league, I would say.
I don't know. Do you think there's kind of an anti-Penguin thing going on here? The Penguins seem to me to be like a polarizing team. You either love them or you hate them. I know I was watching the Tampa Bay game and they scored, and the crowd was going crazy, and I was thinking, oh, they're at home. And then they were skating up, and I saw the Lightning logo. So
yeah.
they're away. They do have fans everywhere.
Yeah, but I think that's just economics. There are people moving out of Pittsburgh. And
it seems like if you don't like them, you hate them, I guess.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with the NHL. In today's Gary Bettman run NHL, they want to make Crosby the poster child, as well he should be. But it's just to the point of, you're talking about a player that's only played 12 games all year, and it's just been this constant drama of, what's he doing now? What is he skating? Is he playing? Is he going to retire? Are they going to take his captaincy away? I mean, what's going to go on here?
Yeah.
So, I mean, but he did resume skating this week. Skated again. He traveled with the team to Washington and skated down in Florida and Tampa Bay, and is supposed to meet with Dr. Carrick, the guy that helped him out before the first time around. It's actually a sort of a chiropractor kind of
he's a controversial, he's a controversial guy. Yeah.
Not definitely not typical treatments, but that's kind of an update with him. Even though you kind of hate to talk about so many players that aren't on the team, kind of almost making excuses. But as far as the other injury, Chris Letang resumed skating today, which that's kind of might be a bigger issue than Crosby, because Crosby, they didn't have him for half of last year and they still made the playoffs.
Yeah,
and that's why I would argue this year is actually worse for the Penguins. On the injury front as opposed to last year, because last year, of course, they lost Malkin and Crosby within a month after just getting Stahl back, where those two had only played 2 whole games together, which Stahl is out again with an injury. He's out 4 to 6 weeks. Is that what they said?
Yeah.
So he's missing now too, but Dustin Jeffrey came back, which that helps a lot. He'd had some setbacks with his ACL injury, and he came back, I believe, the Washington game, which was stated before, played really well in that loss. And since then, they've gone 2-1 with Jeffrey in the lineup, which helps to get some stability back there too. As you said before, Letang, of course, making his way back. And remember last year, the Penguins didn't have their issues on defense like they have. I mean, Zabinik, McCulloch have been hurt. Paul Martin's been hurt.
Mm-hmm.
England's had some suspension issues. Lovejoy's out for a while. And Simone Dupre, they called up from Wilkes-Barre, he was hurt, or is out now too. So you have all these defenseman issues, and your goaltending might suffer as a result. So last year wasn't as bad in terms of defensive standpoint, but this year it's just been they've fallen like dominoes.
Yeah, you make a good point. Looking ahead real quick here, what do we got upcoming for the Penguins here?
Coming up Thursday, the 19th, at the Rangers, who lost to Montreal 4-1 on Sunday. And then Montreal comes to Pittsburgh the next night. And as a note there, Mike Camilleri, who I guess had been...
Our favorite guy,
who torched the Penguins in the playoffs a couple years back. He was traded to Calgary for him. Camilleri, Kerry Remo, and a 5th-round pick in this year's draft went to Calgary in exchange for Rennie Bork, Patrick Holland, and a 2nd-round pick in the 2013 draft. So Camilleri, I guess it was rumored he was complaining about ice time, and although some officials will say that the trade was in the works for months, but who knows what's going on with that.
He got traded during the game.
Yeah.
Which is very rare.
And Camilleri actually has a goal already. 1 game with Calgary, and he already has a goal. So look out for that. And, of course, Washington Sunday, same day as the Pro Bowl in NFL, and the 24th they're at St. Louis. So face Brian Elliott, the All-Star goaltender.
So we'll let you know what happened in those meetings next time when we talk again on Herald-Standard.com's Penguin Shootout.